Right now, on a special edition of WHAS 11 News at 4, we are live in Nelson County, where FBI agents are searching a farm in connection to the disappearance of Crystal Rogers.
I'm just praying God is giving me the answers today or tomorrow or whenever it takes.
This farm, the last place Crystal was seen alive, and the site of possible evidence that could lead to an arrest. And it is the talk of the town. Businesses who have been supporting the Ballards and the search for years, taking us inside their efforts. As local law enforcement investigate vandalism at the memorial for the first of the unsolved cases in Bardstown.
It's bad taste and pretty meditated to go climb up a rock wall to get to it.
WHAS 11 News at 4 starts now. Thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of WHAS 11 News at 4, live from Nelson County. I'm Shay McAllister. We have moved our broadcast to Bardstown today because of big developments in the Crystal Rogers case. The FBI back in Bardstown today, and right now, a search is underway. Before you tell you about exactly what's going on, we want to remind you about this case. Crystal Rogers is the missing mother of 5 from Bardstown who disappeared 4th of July weekend 7 years ago. When family hadn't heard from her for days, they reported her missing. That same day, they found her car on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway with her keys, phone, and purse inside. Within months, her boyfriend, Brooks Houck, was named the main suspect in that disappearance. Of course, he has never been charged in the case. And according to investigators, the last place she was seen alive was on Houck's family farm. That is exactly where we are today as investigators execute a search warrant. Well, this is the talk of the town here in Nelson County. Tons of investigators are on this farm. We're going to tell you all about those efforts, but we also have team coverage. Isaiah Kim Martinez and photojournalist Jessica Farley have been spending time in Bardstown today, talking with other businesses who have been dedicated to this search for the last 7.5 years. You're going to hear more from them coming up later in the show. But first, let's get to the search happening right now on a Brooks Houck's family farm. We were allowed past the roadblock behind me, about a mile down the road, where we first saw exactly what the FBI was doing. Multiple tents are put up around the property. We know this property well. We've been here before. There's thick forest, multiple barns and structures, multiple ponds. The FBI seems to be searching through it all. However, we could not see exactly what they were doing. They haven't told us exactly what they were looking for. But when we talked to Sherry Ballard and her family earlier today, she told us she is sure that this could be a huge break in the case.
I'm just praying today that I find answers. It's just, I don't really know how I feel. I'm trying not to get too excited about it because I don't want such a letdown if nothing's found.
Of course, that is what Sherry always says. She doesn't want to get her hopes up, but she did tell us she is excited, and there's a reason that she feels so passionately about this property. That's because this was the last place where Crystal Rogers was seen alive. Here's exactly what we know about the search today. Investigators first got on the property about 7:30 this morning. Dozens and dozens of them came here. They actually brought the FBI Command Center to be part of this search today. Out of the dozens of law enforcement, it's not just the FBI. There's multiple agencies involved in this search. The Nelson County Sheriffs are here. Bardstown Police are here. And previously, Kentucky State Police have worked when the FBI comes to Bardstown. We haven't seen them here yet today. We do want to take a closer look at what we know about this property because, like I said, searches have happened here before. So here is exactly what we know about this property. The 245-acre farm is located on Pascal Ballard Lane. That's right near the intersection of Loretta Road and Bardstown Road. It's about 9 miles south of downtown Bardstown. Rosemary Houck, Brooke Houck's mom, actually owns the property. Again, it's the last place Crystal Rogers is known to be alive. That's according to police. And it is not the first time investigators have searched here. Our records reveal the family farm has been searched at least 3 other times in the last 7 years. Within days of Crystal Rogers' family reporting her missing, police were at the boyfriend's family farm, closing down Pascal Ballard Lane with police cruisers. This video from July 10th, 2015 is the first time we know investigators were on the property. Family told us they watched law enforcement spend about 4 hours on the farm.
They would have something. I mean, you gotta have probable cause, so hopefully they found something and they're looking for more.
After this search, Tommy Ballard, Crystal's father, asked the Hauk family for access to the farm. He said he wanted to search the farm with cadaver dogs, but he said the Hauks told him no. Fast forward 14 months, investigators were back on the Hauk property, this time with a search warrant and lots of extra hands.
So this property is the last property that she was seen at, as far as we've been told.
In total, 18 cadaver dogs, the LMPD dive team, and more than 24 investigators took part in this search. It lasted 2 days. Detectives told our crew they found items of interest, and they towed those items away.
I'm hopeful. I think we're moving in the right direction.
Former lead detective on the case, John Snow, told us he believed a crime happened on the property. That was a belief shared by Crystal's family.
I mean, I felt that the whole time. Whether they find something on the farm or they don't, I still feel like that's where it happened.
FBI was on scene for this search more than 6 years ago, helping local investigators comb through hundreds of acres of farmland. It was 4 years before the federal agency took the lead on the case, and that would be the next time we saw law enforcement on the farm. Video from Sky 11 showing us the work underway, August of 2020. On this day, more than 150 state and federal agents served more than 9 federal search warrants on multiple properties, including the farm.
We want to get it right. We want to ensure that that our part in this investigation, that we are doing everything we can to solve the case.
And 2 years later, renewed focus on the farm, seemingly the next step to find answers and take this case to court. And also happening today, there is a search underway by the Nelson County Sheriff's Office to find the person or people responsible for vandalizing the Jason Ellis Memorial. That memorial sits right off of exits 34 off of the Bluegrass Parkway. It was the very spot where Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis was ambushed and murdered 9 years ago. Here's what we know about that memorial and exactly what happened. In a Facebook post, the sheriff's office says sometime between Sunday and Thursday of last week, somebody destroyed the memorial. They found the metal memorial flag had been removed and damaged. The sheriff's office says the vandalism was deliberate because that flag was bolted to a metal fascinator and anchored to the rock. We have also talked to Ellis's family today. They say they are absolutely devastated. The sheriff has talked to them. He said that this shakes them to their core for more reasons than one.
Upset. You know, could it be the person that killed Jason? Could it be this? Could it be that? But somebody that doesn't have closure yet, we're dealing with another heinous crime to something that is Jason Ellis Memorial.
And there is a $1,500 reward being offered in this case if your information can lead to the arrest and conviction of the person responsible. Any tips about that vandalism should be reported to the Nelson County Sheriff's Office. Well, we still have a lot to get to out here in Bardstown, including that reaction from the community. We have a live interview coming up, but right now we want to toss it back to WHAS 11 Studios, where Doug Profit has a check of today's news. Doug?
All right, thank you, Shay. We'll be rejoining you there in Nelson County at the scene of that search of the farm coming up in here in just a second. But first, I'm joined by Chief Meteorologist Ben Pine. And even I didn't believe it when I heard that you said we were going to have snow flurries in the forecast, because I said, wait a second, has Ben believe this? Has he bought into this forecast that is out there? And you are.
I mean, all the weather models are showing it's going to be cold enough later on tonight. We've got a freeze warning, and then we've got this little disturbance that's going to come our way, a little spoke of energy from a system that's over the Great Lakes, and just enough moisture that there you can see it, a pretty decent chance of a little batch of flurries cruising through early early tomorrow morning. That is 8 o'clock tomorrow morning right there. So not everybody will likely see the flurries. Less chance off to the southwest of Louisville and to the south. But from Metro off to the east and northeast, a decent chance. Could be a couple snowflakes flying early tomorrow morning. Protect the plants as well, maybe even the mums. Low temperatures in the upper 20s to around 34 in the city. So all of our region and throughout the Midwest and the Ohio Valley under that freeze warning, and that will effectively end the growing season. So here are the wind chills in the 30s this evening, around 8 to 9 o'clock. And then overnight, wind chills starting off in the 20s. Really got to bundle up the kiddos out at the bus stop tomorrow morning with the winds still up around 10 to 20 overnight. Right now, we're in the lower 50s, wind gust to 31, so it feels chillier than that actual temperature. The humidity low at 31%. And looking at the peak of the fall colors across Kentuckiana right now. So strong northwest flow out there in the 40s in southern Indiana, 50s over the Commonwealth right now. So for this evening, just to grab a very warm jacket. If you have plans to head out to Iroquois Park for a Jack-o'-lantern spectacular, our overnight low temperatures will be in the 30s in the city, outlying areas in the upper 20s. Lunchtime tomorrow, 44. Some chilly sunshine, rather cool tomorrow and breezy with a high of 51. This is going to be some cold air over the next several days, but we've got a big warm-up by the end of the week. We'll show you the roller coaster temperatures heading our way coming up.
All right, Ben, thank you very much. Some other news headlines here on this Monday. Opioid recovery centers in Kentucky now have access to hundreds of millions of dollars of extra funding. Today, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron activated an online grant proposal by the Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission. Now, the grant is part of a $478 million settlement to help organizations fight the opioid epidemic. Marla Highball here in Louisville with the Healing Place Recovery Center is overjoyed by this investment.
I think that is an incredible opportunity to help men and women who have struggled with opioid use disorder, and they have had that as part of their life, knowing that the state was really ravaged by that, and to know that now, as the Attorney General is focused on that and there's funding behind it, individuals like us or businesses like us will be able to provide care to more individuals.
Now, that special commission in Kentucky is encouraging businesses to make a submission now. In order to receive funding, submissions must be completed within 30 days. Police are searching for a suspect after a shooting that happened in Shively this morning. Police were called just after 7 a.m. to Dixie Highway near Rockford Lane. Police say they discovered a woman with a gunshot wound, but they also say she wasn't shot at that location. She drove there. No information on exactly where the shooting happened on her or her condition at the moment. If you have any information that can help detectives, call them at 574-LMPD. Now let's go back to Shay McAllister live in Nelson County as we continue our special edition of our 4 o'clock news here today. Shay?
All right, Doug, thank you so much. We still have so much to get here right here at 4. Like I said, we will be having a special live interview coming up later in the show. But first, we want to give you more from Sherry Ballard. She talked to us earlier today with her daughter, her son, and Crystal's 2 daughters. The one reason they say this particular search is so critical to the case, it's right after the break.
Today's Kentucky Lottery jackpots, Mega Millions back to 20 million, Powerball 480 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, providing over $4.4 billion in grants and scholarships.
Some fans gear up for game day, but some fans follow their team every day. They dream up that sweet team victory at night and chug it down with their morning cup.
This team has one of the brightest futures of any.
They are locked on their team and can't get enough. To all you super fans, we feel you. That's why we give you Locked On podcasts, to give real fans out there just what you like. Locked On, your team every day.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
911, what's your emergency?
Riveting whodunits.
You could apply just about every one of the 7 deadly sins to this homicide.
puzzling mysteries.
Did she get kidnapped? Did somebody pick her up on the road? We knew there was a murderer still out there.
And iconic true crime series.
The victims are never forgotten. I want to provide closure to family.
There's only one destination. Just stream your fascination. The True Crime Network. Download the free app.
We're making history.
Welcome aboard, man. You gotta be a little crazy to do this.
In all these murder cases, you feel like you start to know the person.
You really do this work to speak for those who can't speak for themselves.
Real victims.
She didn't deserve this.
Real crimes.
This was a homicide.
And real justice.
My gut was telling me that this was the person.
Now it all makes sense, and boom, we got him.
There's only one destination. Just stream your fascination. True Crime Network. Download the free app.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter answers your questions, clarifies what's true and false, and even includes a daily fun fact. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Sherry Ballard has been very outspoken about her frustrations throughout this investigation. Early on, she was frustrated because she thought police weren't working hard enough, weren't doing enough to solve her daughter and then her husband's unsolved cases. More recently, her frustrations have been geared to how long it's taking them to solve them. But today, when she sat down with her son and daughter and two granddaughters by her side at the Nelson County Sheriff's Office, she reiterated she believes wholeheartedly the FBI is going to solve this case, and this search is just getting them one step closer. In the Nelson County Sheriff's Office.
This is my son, Casey. And this is Crystal's daughter, Kylie.
The Ballard family all together for the first time in years, answering questions about the latest search in Bardstown.
This is such a big day for us. It's such a hard day. Gosh, it's very hard.
Family got word early Monday morning the FBI was back, focusing in on a familiar property, the last place Crystal Rogers was seen alive.
I guess as a mom, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, gosh, could she still be there? Could she still be there? I guess until I find her, I'm just never going to be happy with that farm.
The 245-acre farm belongs to the Houck family. Crystal Rogers' former boyfriend, Brooks Houck, has been named the main suspect in her disappearance.
My daughter was always at that farm. They would go over there and take her little boy and the other kids, and they would roast marshmallows and hot dogs and stuff on that farm.
On the farm, dozens of FBI agents, specialized equipment, and mobile command centers. Her family hopeful this search will be the last.
Each day it's getting closer, and I don't know, I'm ready for answers. Our family just needs answers.
Now we do want to toss it back to the WHAS 11 studio in downtown Louisville for a check of our weather.
All right, thank you, Shay. Yeah, we've got some cold air that is back across the area, and we have a freeze warning for tonight, which is going to put an end to the growing season. A reminder to bring in the plants as well tonight that you don't want to die overnight from the freezing temperatures. First flurries also possible early tomorrow morning. We have that freeze warning from 10 p.m. tonight until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then we've got a big warm-up to show you coming up later in that 7-day forecast. We've got about a 3-day period of some chillier than normal temperatures. Just to give you some perspective here, the earliest we've ever seen some snowflakes, October 10th, 1906. So if we do see them tomorrow morning, it'd be about 8 days later than the earliest we have seen them, so not unprecedented. Typical first freeze, November 7th, so we're a few weeks ahead of schedule as far as cold blast that has arrived. We're now in the lower 50s, very cool, and it feels cooler with that wind gust at around 30, humidity low at 31%. Looking at a partly sunny sky with our Honest Abe roofing cam from on the roof of the Galt House with our U of L Health Camera Network. So a strong flow from the northwest, only 40s in Indiana right now. Madison just at 45. Some mid-50s off to the south. Columbia checking in at 56. Wind chills in the 30s for much of this evening around sunset. Overnight lows, it'll feel like the 20s getting started tomorrow morning. Might need to really bundle up the kids out at the bus stop, and then tomorrow it will feel like the 40s with highs around 50s. So we're going to stay on the cool side, again, below normal through Wednesday, back to near normal Thursday, Friday in the 60s and 70s, then upper 70s to near 80 for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So there's the freeze warning for all of our area through 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we're not alone. More than a dozen states have some freeze warnings in, again, the very end of the growing season here. This is a large storm system over the Great Lakes. A little spoke of energy will drop down over our area late tonight and early tomorrow morning. You'll see it here with Futurecast, but we're dry for this evening. As those temperatures drop, it's cold enough to support the chance of some snowflakes here. First time we've seen it on Futurecast this autumn season. This is around 5:30 tomorrow morning. That little disturbance passes through very quickly. So if you unfortunately are inside when some of those snowflakes happen, you might quickly miss it when it does happen. Temperatures tomorrow afternoon, upper 40s, lower 50s. Just need the warm jackets and maybe even the coats out there with those winds kicking up at around 15 to 30 pretty much all day. Tuesday night, tomorrow night, we're back down to around freezing into our Wednesday morning, and Wednesday will stay on the chilly side as well and still a bit breezy too. So for tonight, we've got that chance of a couple of flurries during the late overnight hours and early tomorrow morning around sunrise or just after. 34, that low temperature, and then for tomorrow, a partly sunny sky. After that chance of some early morning flurries, chilly winds out there with that high of 51. So we'll keep it the chill around through midweek, and then we start to warm things back up. 60s on Thursday, Friday 72, and then a warm weekend ahead with upper 70s Saturday and Sunday, and we could be back to around 80 by Monday. And we'll send it back out live to Shay.
All right, Ben, thank you so much. Well, when our live coverage from Bardstown continues, we are checking in with a business that has worked so hard to keep Crystal's name and her missing case in the spotlight. Our crew spent the day at that business seeing exactly what they do to make sure anyone who drives through Bardstown knows Crystal's name. That story is next.
Mies Tile and Marble has hundreds of choices for your stone or tile project. They directly import marble, granite, and quartz from 9 different countries and now offer hardwood and luxury vinyl tile flooring, providing you the biggest selection, best prices, and special financing. Mies Tile and Marble has the most state-of-the-art equipment in the industry, as well as professional designers and showrooms full of ideas. Come to 645 South Broadway, where they have everything you need to start your project today.
Little Theo's nose had cause for alarm. Ordinary tissues were causing it harm. They left his nose raw with each wiping motion. So Dad extinguished the problem with Puffs Plus Lotion. Puffs have up to 50% more lotion to soothe your blows, bringing relief to your sore nose. Don't get burned by ordinary tissues. A nose in need deserves Puffs indeed. America's #1 lotion tissue.
This church, where we are, is why we have our project. Because there are so many people in the community who don't have access to advanced technology or advanced techniques. We want to try to count people who have been uncounted for a long time.
You gotta be a little crazy to do this. Ah!
Where am I in history?
It's on. Welcome aboard, man.
Got a new house.
I think I finally found a place that I call home.
This is Daily Blast Live, right here at this desk, 5 days a week. No topics are off limits. I think it's an okay conversation to have. We have fiery debate. That's not true. Can I finish? You just got me all riled up. We tell heartfelt stories. We're so emotional over here. We talk to the stars.
Turn up the notch on that.
You on top of your game.
Thank you. DBL is entertaining.
I was like in shock.
That's why we watch. It's time to be a part of the DBL family. Watch DBL on our station's streaming app.
Well, in this tight-knit community, it didn't take long for many to learn about news of today's search that includes people who have spent time trying to help find her. WHAS 11's Isaiah Kim Martinez and photojournalist Jessica Farley are live in downtown Bardstown right now. Isaiah, what are you hearing from the community about this?
Well, Shay, as early as 7 this morning, many residents tell me that there was already chatter about the FBI being in town, crossing their fingers that this search will be different. And for one Bardstown company, it takes them all back to this sign, hoping closures in the near future.
Hopefully they find something this time or find something more that goes with what they may have already found.
Word spread quickly in Nelson County Monday, and the community didn't need notice to quickly understand what's at stake.
Hopefully it just helps them put the pieces together.
Especially folks like Andy Carey, owner of Carey Sign Company.
Missing Crystal Rogers.
They've been waiting for signs of progress.
35 years old. 5'9", 159 pounds.
Since they started printing theirs just days after Crystal Rogers went missing in summer 2015.
Any information, please contact the Nelson County Sheriff. This missing person that just basically vanished off the face of the earth.
Long before the FBI ever stepped foot into Bardstown taking over her case, Carey's company was out helping in the search for the mother of 5.
That helped to get it out, but here we are 7 years later and not much more known about it.
Never thinking many years after they'd still be looking to bring her home.
I don't think anybody thought that we'd still be talking about her missing, you know. You'd think you'd have an answer by now.
The FBI's return to the small town means everything to those who've spent so much of their time bringing awareness to Crystal's case all around town.
They just want to know. People just want to know.
When I show you this sign, this is an older one. What does this mean to you?
It evokes a lot of emotions. It's like that 7 degrees of separation. In some way, we all know the Ballards.
Lifetime Bardstown natives like Katie Marks say they're hopeful but wary.
This community and the family has gotten their hopes up so many times that do we hope for the best or hope for the best and expect the worst?
Because as long as you see these signs up,
it's an ever-present reminder that she hasn't come home yet.
That means they're still looking for justice. And of course, we know this process is fluid. So if you'd like to show support during all this, if you want a Justice for Crystal sign, Carey Sign Company says you can go ahead and reach out to them and they'd be happy to provide. Live here in Bardstown, Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS 11 on your side.
All right, Isaiah, thank you so much. When we come back, we continue our full coverage of the search for Crystal Rogers, dedicating this entire hour. Specifically, right after the break, we'll be showing you the last 2 years of this FBI investigation, what has happened, what they found, and what they might be trying to achieve.
Watch me. Watch me pirouette with style and grace. An open floor of inspiration. This is my place. 5 positions to start, leotard and tights. A story through movement, under music and lights. Straight and tall, they promised I'd stand. I'm a ballerina who twirls like the blades of a fan. Watch me. Innovative scoliosis treatment at Shriners Children's. The most amazing care anywhere.
Don't give me the PC, polite version. Tell me what's going on here. What happened to your rabbit?
His dog, Butch, killed my pet rabbit, Ziggy.
$5,000 for a loan that was never repaid to their mother.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to a special edition of WHAS 11 News at 4. We are live in Nelson County today because of big developments in the Crystal Rogers case. A search is underway right now on a property with close connections to Brooks Houck, the main suspect in her disappearance. Here's exactly what we know about the search today. Agents first got on the farm around 7:30 this morning. It was dozens of law enforcement officials. They even brought out a mobile command center, and we know they are executing a new search warrant. You have to have new evidence to come back on this farm, a farm they have been on many times before. Beyond this roadblock, we were able to get a look at what they're doing. We can see them working with heavy machinery, with equipment, even ladders, searching through barns and woods and ponds. They say this is in connection to the missing persons case. We also talked to Sherry Ballard today, who says the community support that she has received can be almost overwhelming, but it is so helpful when she's going through all of this.
Without the support of this community backing me, I could not be where I'm at today. It's nice to know that people feel what I feel in my heart and that they really do support me on that. To my family.
The FBI announced they were taking the lead in Crystal Rogers' case back in July of 2020, 2 years ago. Since then, they have served more than 9 federal search warrants. They have interviewed more than 100 people. They have dug up driveways. They have collected items of interest. We know so much has happened. We put it all together for you guys in a quick timeline so you can see exactly where this investigation stands today. July of 2020, swarms of federal agents ascended on Bardstown, carrying boxes of evidence from Brooks Houck's house. Documents and keys among the items seized. He was home at the time of the search. Nearby, his brother Nick Houck's home was also under search. Dogs sniffing his truck, guns collected from inside his home and removed from the property. 9 miles away, the family farm also a point of investigation. Neighbors told our crews the federal agents were a welcomed sight.
I'm so happy it's finally happening. We need them here.
You know, for the past year, we've had a number of agents that have been working nonstop on this case. And of course, that's all been behind the scenes. Now it's in the open.
Later that month, Crystal's storage unit was searched for the very first time, and her car was collected as evidence. Crystal's mom had been storing it after finding it abandoned on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway with her keys, phone, and purse inside. All of the activity made the family hopeful they could soon see an arrest, but that didn't happen. We didn't hear from the FBI again until about a year later, when they worked with the Nelson County Sheriff's Office to restrict access to a Bardstown neighborhood, narrowing in on a driveway with ties to Brooks Houck.
I'm getting goosebumps, and at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter who solves it as long as it gets solved.
For 7 days, evidence analysts worked alongside federal agents to dig up a driveway piece by piece, hauling away the concrete, eventually revealing they had seized items of evidence and sent them to the FBI evidence lab in Quantico, Virginia. They never told us what they found, but they did tell Crystal's mom, Sherry Ballard.
Yes, ma'am. I was told the day that they found it, and it was a very hard time for me because what they found could very well be evidence that they needed.
And now the search for clues continues. FBI agents back in Bardstown once again focused on a property, the property long considered the last place Crystal Rogers was seen alive. And as you know, Doug, this case and this property have been of such high interest to everyone here in Bardstown, truly a community effort. Lots of questions now about exactly what the FBI might have been looking for or what they might have found. We have reached out to them. We're waiting for an update for them, but the search very well still underway. Doug?
All right, and as you've said, Shay, 245 acres. They have a lot of work to do. We'll be joining you again here in just a couple of seconds. We do want to pass along some other news of the day happening today. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and this morning Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and state advocates called attention to Kentucky's staggering rates of domestic violence, which are on the rise. The governor saying 45% of Kentucky women experience intimate physical violence or rape in their lifetime. Advocates shared warning signs, barriers to escape, and messages of hope.
We envision a commonwealth where everyone has what they need to live, to work, to play, and to love in healthy families, neighborhoods, and communities.
The governor signing an official proclamation declaring October Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the state of Kentucky today. If you or someone you know is in a domestic violence situation, remember this. The Center for Women and Families in Louisville has a 24/7 emergency hotline. The number is 844-237-2331, or you can also dial 211 to the Metro United Community Way resource. Sunday marked 6 months since a body of a young boy was found in a suitcase in southern Indiana and made national headlines. That boy has still not been identified. His body was found by a mushroom hunter in rural Washington County, Indiana, back in April. Inside this suitcase with Las Vegas on it, a month later, Indiana State Police released autopsy results showing the boy died of an electrolyte imbalance. The Washington County community laid the young boy to rest in June, marking his grave in loving memory of a little boy known but to God. 6 months later, Indiana State Police investigation into finding the boy's identity and who could be responsible for leaving his body in those woods is still ongoing. If you have any information or if the suitcase looks at all familiar to you, you're asked to call their tip line at 888-437-6432. Well, you've been hearing a lot about the frost warnings coming up, but add this, snow flurries in the Kentuckiana forecast. Yes, it's no joke here as the temperature is going to really drop. Let's check in with Ben for an update on those flurries, and you think it'll really happen, Ben? I think there's a decent chance for Metro Louisville to the north and northeast tomorrow morning, Doug, as we get a little disturbance to move through some of that chilly air that is on top of us now. Typically, we see our first flurries in November, typical first measurable snow late December, so a little ahead of schedule with the freeze warnings that we have across the area as well. There is our Futurecast map showing that chance for some spotty flurries first thing tomorrow morning. That is around 8 o'clock in the morning, so not everyone has that chance to see it, but you might get lucky and see a few snowflakes early tomorrow morning. No impact from that. It'll be very brief early tomorrow morning when that passes through. 28 to 34 are low temps tonight, so all of our area under that freeze warning from 10 p.m. tonight until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Check out the wind chills here in the 30s for much of the evening time. Starting off off, it'll feel like the 20s with still the winds around 10 to 20 miles per hour. So definitely need to bundle everybody up out at the bus stop and off to work and school. 51 and 54 right now. It feels cooler with that wind gust at 30 and the humidity low at 31%. Strong flow for the northwest, keeping our temps below normal. 40s in Indiana, and over the Commonwealth, we are in the 50s. So over the next 12 hours, temperatures mainly in the 40s before we go to the 30s overnight. Low 34 for the overnight in the metro, but colder in some outlying areas. Chilly sunshine 44 at lunchtime, and tomorrow afternoon a high of 51 degrees. We've got a few days with this chilly air, but we've got a major warm-up coming up later in our Storm Team forecast. We'll send it back out live to Shay.
All right, Ben, thank you so much. When we come back, we are live with Team Crystal, the group of civilian searchers who have made it their personal mission to support the Ballard family and find Crystal Rogers. That live interview is right after the break.
Today's Kentucky Lottery Jackpots, Mega Millions, 20 million, Powerball, 480 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, providing over $4.4 billion in grants and scholarships.
Daily Blast Live is more than a talk show. They're family. The hosts are relatable, entertaining, and authentic.
We're all going to be like, what?
Engaging the audience with powerful stories and talking to the stars.
Turn up the notch on that.
It's like I'm on the verge of tears.
Thank you so much for doing this.
It's so interesting.
It's time to be a part of the DBL family.
I'm so proud of our DBL nation.
Me too. Watch DBL on our station's streaming app.
We're making history.
Welcome aboard, man. You gotta be a little crazy to do this. Ah!
We're doing it!
You gotta be a little crazy to do this.
Ah! We're making history.
It's on. Welcome aboard, man.
We are back now live with Team Crystal in Nelson County as a search is underway on Brooks House family property. Team Crystal started out as a group of strangers, people who just wanted to help. Now they consider themselves a family. We start with Angie Bowen. Angie, first, how did Team Crystal really get going, and what do you do?
Well, in the very beginning, a lot of the people in the community came out, and then it started dwindling down to us. And we were determined to stick together to help Tommy and Sherry, and we all feel like we know Crystal, even though we never met her. It's our family now as well.
It's incredible because you really did start out as strangers, but Angie, I know you worked side by side with Tommy.
Yes, I did. Many, many nights.
What do you think he would think about this search today?
Wow. He would be very proud. He would be literally, if he was here, he would be saying, thank you for answered prayers. Thank you for helping my family. We need this.
This really could be such a huge, huge development. Lonnie, we want to make sure we get to you because this is something, a search of the Hauk family property that everybody calls for and has been wanting to see. What do you think about this? What do you think they might find here?
I have no idea, but we hope that something comes from this. With us, Team Crystal and everybody else searching, we have searched most all the lands around here, but we've never been able to search on the property. So it gets everybody's attention when they are searching this farm, and just hoping that Sherry can get some answers out of this and the whole town can get answers out of this.
When you think about what it would take to move this case forward, what is it that you hope that they could find here?
Just solid evidence, something that's not just circumstantial or, just kind of something that concrete that they can make an arrest so everybody in the whole community can have some peace with us finally.
Well, you guys are incredible. You've done such fantastic work for the Ballard family. I know the entire community just loves Team Crystal. Thank you for taking some time with us here on the News at 4. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And when we come back, our coverage continues here live in Nelson County, where we are digging into the other cases. Tommy's and Crystal's, just a few. There are others. We're going to give you the latest updates on those.
You gotta be a little crazy to do this.
We're making history.
It's all. Welcome aboard, man.
We're making history.
Welcome aboard, man. You gotta be a little crazy to do this.
Bardstown is known as the most beautiful small town in America, but it also is becoming known for something else, a string of unsolved cases. Crystal Rogers' name, probably the most well-known, but there are others equally as tragic. Here's what we know about those cases. The first case now almost 10 years old. May 2013, Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis was ambushed on his way home from work. The killer strategically placing debris right in his path. Ellis died on the exit of the Bluegrass Parkway, never making it home to his wife or his 2 little boys.
It was in the middle of the night, and they knocked on the door, and yeah, it was like an out-of-body experience. I mean, your worst nightmare coming true.
Early on, investigators worked day and night to find out what happened, but no lead ever led to Ellis's killer.
He was greatly loved. He'll be greatly missed.
1 year later, another brutal murder, this time a school teacher and her high school daughter. Kathy and Samantha Netherland were home April of 2014. Samantha had just picked out her prom dress when police say someone entered their home, tied them up, tortured them, and then left them for dead in the middle of a graphic crime scene.
And I want to know why. Why would somebody go and attack my sister? Why would somebody shoot my mother?
The next case came in 2015 when Crystal Rogers disappeared, and her father, Tommy Ballard, led the search efforts to find her.
I'm kind of facing reality. I don't want to believe it, but I feel like she's not here.
He spent every minute searching for his daughter, collecting evidence, pushing police to work harder, and then he was stopped, shot and killed while hunting with his grandson, November of 2016.
And I ran over and knelt down to Tommy, and I shook him. And I just begged him to get up.
Sherry Ballard, his widow, steadfast his death was no accident. And still, almost 6 years later, there have been no arrests. And if you have any information about any of these cases, you can report it to the FBI on the Crystal Rogers Task Force page. The agency has made it clear, while they are only the lead on Crystal Rogers' case, they are collecting tips following leads on all of these cases. They also said they believe it is unusual to have 5 high-profile, unsolved cases in one small community like Nelson County. They say it is realistic to believe that solving one of these cases could lead to solving the rest. And we do have more news to share with you today. It's exciting news from the podcast world. Today, we did launch a new season of the Bardstown podcast. It is called Beyond Bardstown Unsolved, and I do want to give you a little sneak peek. But officers say Savannah Crawford's case felt different from the start.
In this case, for some reason, I'm not going to say we took it more serious, but there was just something about this case that didn't seem right.
Throughout this season, every episode will feature a new case, including some that you might already be familiar from because they are from our area right here in Kentucky. After the release of season 1, listeners across the country learned the names and the stories of the 5 Nelson County victims. The hope is this new season will shed light on the many other cases just sitting around in desk drawers waiting to be solved. The best way to listen to the new episodes, there are 2 of them out today for Beyond Bardstown podcast, is on our website. That's WHAS11.com/Beyond Bardstown. We do want to toss it back to the Weather Center. Chief Meteorologist Ben Pine keeping an eye on some very chilly temperatures. Ben?
Yeah, what a change here, Shay, over the last 24 hours. You can see the chilly pocket of air that has dropped down from the Great Lakes in Canada. 30s, 40s, and 50s around the Ohio Valley to the north. Warm air well down to the southeast. This is going to hang around for a few days, all the way through Wednesday afternoon. Our temperatures will be below normal. We're at 54 right now, just 42 in Chicago, and then highs have been in the 30s in Wisconsin and up into Minnesota. Very large storm system just swirling here. You can see that counterclockwise flow right over the top of the Great Lakes. There were some flurries as close as Richmond, Indiana earlier today, which is not very far off to the northeast of our area. And we actually have a chance for a few flurries right here in Kentuckiana early tomorrow morning around sunrise, because we'll get a little spoke of energy from that west side of that storm. And we also on the west side of the storm bringing in those cold temperatures temperatures. So we're going to be down to around freezing overnight in most locations. So that's why we had that freeze warning from 10 p.m. until 10 a.m. So the combination of the near freezing temperatures and this little disturbance moving through will give us that chance for a few flurries early tomorrow morning. But we're definitely not alone with the chill freeze warnings, which will effectively end the growing season throughout much of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Covering more than a dozen states. So it's going to be quiet for this evening. Definitely want a warm jacket, upper 30s and lower 40s. Wind chills even chillier than that. That's around 8 to 9 o'clock. And then here comes that little disturbance tomorrow morning. This is around 5, 6 a.m. So I'd say the northeastern half of the area, best chance to sneak in a couple of these flurries, while areas off to the southwest are just probably too far away from that disturbance. That'll pass through very quickly. Partly sunny again tomorrow afternoon and even cooler with upper 40s and lower 50s, but with winds blowing up to 30 miles per hour tomorrow afternoon, like today, wind chills will be in the 40s pretty much all day. So we're talking some coat weather for your Tuesday, and then tomorrow night we're back down to around freezing, upper 20s, lower 30s. So definitely protect the plants tonight, tomorrow night, and Wednesday night as well before we jump into another big warm-up. Lower 50s and sunshine here for your Wednesday afternoon. Our high today, only up to 56, almost 15 below the normal high of 70 for this time of the year. So this freeze that we have in the forecast for the next several nights, about 3 weeks ahead of our normal freeze time, which is November 7th. Earliest we've had flurries, October 10th, back in 1906, or about 8 days after that earliest time period. 51 and 54 at the airports, wind gust 31, so it is blustery and chilly out there in that northwest flow. Keep the temps only in the 40s over much of southern Indiana, 45 in Paoli, and the same in Madison, low to mid 50s over central and southern Kentucky. So a couple flurries late overnight, early tomorrow morning, otherwise partly cloudy, cold, 34 just above freezing in the city. Outlying areas dip down to the upper 20s and lower 30s. Chilly winds in the forecast tomorrow after that early morning flurry chance, a high of 51 degrees, and we'll keep it in the 50s through Wednesday, and then back to some 60s on Thursday, just about perfect on Friday with a high of 72. There's that weekend warm-up Saturday and Sunday back into the upper 70s. The drought will worsen with no rain over the next 7 days at least. We're going to head back down south to Bardstown live with Shay.
All right, Ben, thank you so much. And we thank you at home for joining us for this special edition of WHAS 11 News at 4, live from Nelson County. Our coverage continues as FBI agents are still searching right now on a Hauk family.
Up Saturday and Sunday back into the upper 70s. The drought will worsen with no rain over the next 7 days at least. We're going to head back down south to Bardstown live with Shay.
All right, Ben, thank you so much. And we thank you at home for joining us for this special edition of WHAS 11 News at 4, live from Nelson.
You gotta be a little crazy to do this.
We're making history.
It's on. Welcome aboard, man.
We're making history.
Welcome aboard, man. You gotta be a little crazy to do this.